Alright, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another guide for Grim Soul Survival. Today, let me just move my mic a little bit more here. Today we are going to be tackling Tier 3 runs, and more specifically, we're going to be tackling night cache runs. Now, the first thing we need to know is that night caches, obviously, as their name implies, only appear at night. So the first thing you have to figure out is, when does it become night for you? Now, if you want to figure out when it becomes night for you, all you have to do is kind of sit on the map and wait for the bell sound. Once you hear the bell sound, you just have to write down whatever time it is. Like, for example, if I heard it right now, it would be 11:27 a.m. So I would write down :27. And then you would go into a zone. And then on the loading screen in the middle, there is a time of day indicator. And you would either see what is it, like a blue or a purple moon, or you would see the yellow-orange sun icon in the middle. And that would tell you whether it is morning or it is night. Either way, it doesn't really matter, but if it's night, then you know that that particular time is when night starts for you. If it is morning, all you have to do is subtract 12 from that number. So if I heard the bell at 27 after, and it was morning for me, then I would subtract 12 from that, and night would start for me at a quarter after. It would be 15 minutes after the hour starts. So in this particular instance, it would have been like 11:15. We know that because night only lasts for 12 minutes, and it comes around every hour. So once you figured out what time night starts for you, you can do night cache runs every hour on the hour. It's very simple. For me, I happen to know that my night starts at 33 minutes after the hour. So my night will start in about 4 minutes. The time that it starts is going to be different for everyone. It is based on when you actually started up the game for the very first time. So, again, there's no guarantee that a night cache will pop up, but those are the basic conditions. You have to go to a Tier 3 zone, and it has to be night. And it doesn't matter if you get there before night happens, you just don't want to hit the enter button to go into the map until after night starts. And for me personally, I also like to wait a couple of seconds after I hear the bell, just to be 100% sure that the game has registered. Night has started, a night cache could spawn here. The Tier 3 zones are obviously the most dangerous of all of the zones that we can currently enter. As you can see, I am decked out in Tier 3 armor, which has 170 armor. Now, Tier 1 is technically good enough to fight knights, but it's nowhere near good enough to deal with Templars. And in my opinion, and a couple of other people's opinions, the best way to approach Tier 3 is to prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So the worst would be dealing with, like, 2 or 3 Templars. So I should... Actually, honestly, this bastard sword probably would not be enough to deal with 3 Templars. It might not even be enough to deal with 2. It just doesn't have enough durability, but I usually don't deal with that many Templars, so it's not that big a deal. But yeah, we've got Tier 3 chest and legs, gives us 170 armor, so the knight or knights that we may have to deal with should only do 24 damage to us. Well, they will only do 24 damage to us. And the Templars, which normally have an attack power of 70, I know, it hurts. Templars are kind of ridiculous. Instead of doing 70 damage, they will do 34 damage. So they will 3-shot us if we have to deal with the Templar, but We've got healing, so we'll be able to take that. I generally take a full stack of jerky, And again, it dehydrates you, so I like to take berry drinks to offset that. In a normal tier 3 run, you should only really need 1 stack of food. Because the basic tactic that we're going to be employing here, guys, and night is going to start soon, so I won't take too much longer here to talk, guys. But the basic tactic that we are going to employ, guys, is rush straight to the chest. Rush straight to the chest, clear the stuff out around the chest, grab the stuff in the chest, and get the hell out. Because the longer that you stay in a tier 3 zone, the more knights and Templars and AIs with scimitars and bastard swords can potentially spawn on you. And the more of those that you have to deal with, the less profitable your tier 3 run becomes. To the point where eventually it's just, you're spending way more than you're getting. Especially if you're kind of unlucky with drops. So, for everything other than the Templar, I will be using a one-handed sword and a flanged mace. I like to bring 2 weapons. Sometimes you only need 1. Sometimes you need more. It kind of depends on what all ends up guarding the chest. Obviously, if you're going for a night cache, it's going to be night. You need to bring a torch. And, of course, I bring a 50 plus damage weapon for the Templars. In this case, I brought along a bastard sword. It's not necessarily my preferred weapon for Templars. I would really prefer a scimitar. And actually a claymore is also pretty good. But I don't have a lot of scimitars left over that I really want to use. So that has been the bell. So again, it is 11:33. That is when night starts for me. And we should be good to go. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up, guys, and kind of concentrate and do this. And then after I am done with the run, I will kind of explain what I did. There may be some commentary along the way, but not a lot, because I kind of need to concentrate. Alright, so come in along the bottom as normal. And so far it's pretty clear. I like that. I like that a lot. Alright, I'll deal with the direwolf. Take all that. And I'm fine with that. And when you're looking for a night cache, guys, you're looking for 2 chests on the map. Well, the chest icon on the map. You're looking for 2 of them that are right next to each other. So that up top might be a cache. Just kind of want to open up some room here to deal with this damned knight. And there's a direwolf after me now, so we're gonna retreat a little bit further back to deal with him. Okay, and I want all of that, and I want all of that. Now, I've been in the zone for a little more than a minute now, probably, so I'm sure the night guest will show up soon. So, we need to be aware of that. Of course, I do want all of the chests, not just the night cache, if there is one. So I do want to clear... There's a night guest, saw him on the map, and he is gone now. Okay, so there is indeed a night cache, which is nice, and there was a Templar after me, which is not as nice, but we're going to retreat about as far back as we can so I can deal with the damned and have time to switch to my bastard sword for the Templar. And the basic idea here, guys, is get a hit in and get the hell out. Which I didn't do there. I kind of got stuck in place. That's what I don't like about the and some lag. Lag never helps. But that's kind of what I don't like about the bastard sword. It's the attack speed is so slow that you kind of get stuck in place after you swing it. So yeah, that's not good. Okay, I'm not using a bastard sword on a direwolf. you. I don't need the direwolf fang. I will take all of that, and we will move along. Probably gonna have to deal with the night guest again here in a minute. And the first thing that you should do every time is as soon as you find that night cache, clear out everything around it that would normally aggro onto you when you try to open it, and open it immediately. Because, and of course, if something starts rushing at you, you might as well get out of there, because if it hits you while you're trying to open it, then you're gonna get canceled anyway. Now, if you see the night guest, however, you can go into your inventory and equip the torch, and he will leave, or he will leave you alone. It doesn't look like it's going to pop up here. But he will essentially leave you alone. I'm just going to hit take all, just for the sake of doing this quickly. Okay, so, but yeah, you can go into your inventory, hit the torch, and then, you will still be opening the, oh, I got stuck in a chest there. Do I really want to deal with this guy? He's got a Morning Star and Tier 2 armor. Not really. Now that I've opened up the, night cache, and again, this is why I said you want to open that immediately, or as soon as you can. Now that I've opened that up, guys, it will not disappear when daytime comes. The night cache normally will disappear as soon as day starts. However, if you have already opened it, it does not do that. And I guess the logic behind that is the game kind of says, okay, you've already opened it, so you've probably already taken everything from it, so it doesn't really matter that whether or not it disappears or not, because you've already gotten all the stuff from it. That's the basic gist of it. So, let me go ahead and do that. Let me see what I got here. Okay. And I'm just going to start opening chests along the way. There was a couple other chests over to the top left from where I'm at now. And what do I want here? What do I want here? What do I want here? Never spend too long in the in your inventory. It's a very good way to get yourself killed. Like, for example, if a damn knight sneaks up on you. Get out of here, night guest. Okay, so, I wanted something out of there. I would really like to take that leather, so let me get rid of the skull. I really don't need the skull. Then we will grab this chest, and actually let me switch to my flanged mace, because if something else shows up, it will be bad. Ooh, okay, I got another bastard sword for my trouble. Let us get rid of... Alright, yeah, I guess I don't need that leather that much. Well, actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna get rid of that one-handed sword because it's pretty much broken. Anyway, we gotta make quick decisions while we're in here. Again, the longer we stay here, the more crap that we have to deal with, the more expensive this run ultimately becomes. I got another spoon? I'm really tempted to take that. I'm really tempted to take that, actually. Because I can trade those for coal. Alright, so I know that there is another chest over here. Yeah, okay, so we'll go ahead and take you out. Aggro the bear, unfortunately. Okay, so this is chest number 5, and this is likely the last chest. There may be one other chest in the zone somewhere, but it's pretty unlikely that you get 6 chests. That's the rarest. So, got the night cache, got the 4 chests there, so that is pretty much the night cache run. In a nutshell, guys. I didn't use too much. I had to deal with the Templar in 2 nights, and a couple of dire wolves, so obviously I used a fair bit of my food, but again, 1 stack of food should be all you really need, as long as that stack is jerky. If it's like berry juice or fried leeks, you may need a little extra, or you may need to dip into the honey that you find in the zone. So what I ended up getting an extra bastard sword, so that's nice. I got a Morning Star that can essentially replace my one-handed sword. I got about half a stack of raw meat, that's nice, I can make more jerky out of that. Got 6 animal hides, that's good, I can go ahead and make more leather out of that. 16 cloth, which is nice, in addition to the 7 thick cloth, that would turn into 8 thick cloth. So I got a total of 15, which is enough to replace at least one of these tier 3 pieces. It's not quite enough to do both. So, I got 11 nails out of that. That is pretty freaking awesome. I don't know where I got most of those nails. Knights usually only drop 1 nail when they die, and I want to say Templars only drop like 1 to 3, so there must have been a bunch in the chest. Again, the goal of a night cache zone, guys, is to go fast. It's to go fast, because you only have 12 minutes until it ends, and also the more stuff that you have to deal with in there, the more expensive things become. I got myself some mandrake seeds, 13 leek seeds. I can go ahead and grow those to replace some of the food that I used. 3 chains. I got 10 tin ore. So yeah, bronze is not a problem if you go ahead and do a lot of tier 3 runs. I got 3 leather in and of itself, so in combined with the 6 animal hides, I got 9 leather total for that entire run. I got 4 empty flasks, or empty vials rather. Why do I keep calling those empty flasks? I don't know. Those will be very useful for making either mandrake potions. And as you can see, you only get 1 or 2 mandrake seeds every run, so if you get like 4 empty vials, obviously you're going to end up with more empty vials than you can actually use in making mandrake potions. Or mandrake tinctures, as I believe they're actually called. Let me check real quick. Yes, mandrake tinctures. So it doesn't hurt to use some of them to make better tinctures there. I got 1 sulfur, which is pretty nice. That is, of course, used in making bombs. Unfortunately, I only got 2 wire. I would have liked to get more. That's kind of one of the main reasons I like to do tier 3 runs, is because in addition to all the other stuff that I get, you usually have a pretty good chance of getting a good amount of wire. Like, you know, maybe 6 to 10. But I also got 3 barrels of honey, so that is pretty nice as well. That will go towards my stockpile back home. But yeah, that's more or less the night cache. I like to pick up the animal stuff, the meat and the hides. The meat obviously will get turned into replacement jerky back at my base, and then of course the hides get turned into leather, because I mean I need more leather in order to replace like the flanged mace or the one-handed sword that I use, as well as a little bit of leather for this stuff. So you need to be getting leather back. That actually wasn't a super great tier 3 run. I mean, it did have a night cache, and I did get a bastard sword from a chest, which isn't bad. But generally I have to fight a lot more animals along the way. More wolves, more bears, more dire wolves, stuff like that. So we just heard the bell. That signified day, and actually it started at 11:46 for me. Okay, that's a little bit odd. Maybe it has shifted ever so slightly by a couple of seconds, or maybe I just checked it late. But yeah, night lasts 12 minutes. It started at 11:33 for me, and it should have ended at 11:45, but I probably checked it late, so it turned to 11:46. It's really close. I believe the actual exact time that night lasts is actually 12.5 minutes, so that's another reason why it may have changed to 11:46 there. But yeah, that's tier 3 run in a nutshell, guys. if you're not going for a night cache, it is essentially the exact same thing. I would go and approach it the exact same way. You just want to rush in for the chests, get all the stuff from the chests, pick up the stuff from the animals, the meat and the hides at the very least. Direwolf fangs, you can pick them up, I guess, if you want. 10 direwolf fangs do trade at the merchants for 5 bitter tinctures, so they are a pretty okay healing item, or a pretty okay trade item rather. It's just that I don't see it very often. So if you've got like 40 or 50 direwolf fangs at your base already, which in a lot of instances I think you will, just from doing like tier 2 copper runs and stuff, I mean, you'll probably get tons of direwolf fangs from that. If you have 40 or 50, you're probably not going to use those up anytime soon, so I wouldn't worry about taking them there. But yeah, the things that you really want to prioritize: mandrake seeds, those are only from night caches. Sulfur, that's pretty much only from night caches. Well, I say mandrake seeds are only from night caches. You can get mandrake seeds from killing a witch, but it's pretty rare, so I wouldn't count on it. Mandrake seeds are essentially exclusive to the night cache. Sulfur is also essentially exclusive to the night cache. You can get sulfur from killing Forsaken and Desecrators in the Forsaken dungeon now, but for a long time this was absolutely exclusive to night caches. And of course we need sulfur in order to make black powder, as you can see here. You also need coal for that. And you need more saltpeter than you do sulfur or coal, which is another reason why I like to pick up saltpeter, even though I have a good amount of that back in my base. Saltpeter, again, is only dropped from Knights and Templars. And actually, from all of my dungeon runs, I don't think I've even seen saltpeter drop from Forsaken or Desecrators. So, yeah, I think it is literally just the Knights and Templars that drop saltpeter. So it's important to get that if you are planning on making black powder in order to make bombs and such. And then, so obviously the night cache exclusive stuff, the mandrake seeds, the sulfur. Tin ore is important to get in order to make bronze. Chains are relatively rare, so obviously those are a big thing to pick up. Obviously, if you get a weapon like a bastard sword, or even a Morningstar or a falchion, those are pretty important to pick up. I would absolutely prioritize them. Honey is obviously a priority, and then I believe wire should also be a pretty good priority. So let me go ahead and just move all of those items up to the top here so you can kind of look at all of them in a row here. Yeah, I guess that would pretty much be it. So obviously, everything here is a priority, everything here is a priority, and I would say the flask there is also a priority. So the leather, the cloth, the thick cloth, leek seeds, all of this stuff isn't strictly necessary to bring back. However, you know, it's good to replace what you've already used up in terms of armor, in terms of weapons, and in terms of food. It's good to bring back. And saltpeter, I mean, you can get that from any knight and any Templar, so you don't necessarily have to bring that back from a tier 3 run, especially if you can find something better to bring back, or at least in more quantity, certainly. You can fight knights in tier 2 zones plenty, and they generally drop saltpeter most of the time, or well, maybe not most of the time, maybe like 50% of the time, but certainly they drop it on a regular basis. But yeah, that's been my night cache / tier 3 guide. Hopefully it helped you guys out. Hopefully you learned something, or it's given you an idea on how to do your own tier 3 runs. I do want to say very quickly before I end, a lot of people go to tier 3 and they go for a night cache in hopes of finding a halberd. The one thing I'm gonna say, guys, is if I can speak. I need a drink after this is done. The one thing I will say is a night cache, guys, is only one chest. It has some great stuff in it, and it may even have a higher drop chance for a halberd, but it is only one chest. As far as I know, guys, there can be anywhere between 4 to 5 chests in a tier 3 zone in addition to the night cache. So from my experience, guys, if you really want halberds, it isn't the night cache that you really need to go for. I mean, if you're gonna go for a tier 3 run in hopes of finding a halberd, you might as well time it so that you can also get a night cache. But the night cache isn't necessarily going to be where you get most of your halberds. I get most of my halberds in the normal tier 3 chests up there. And I think, as a matter of fact, you also saw me find this this bastard sword in one of the normal chests. It's just a simple matter of there are more normal chests than there are night caches in the zone. Therefore, you have more opportunities to find a good weapon like a bastard sword, a scimitar, or a halberd in the normal chests than you do in the night cache. So if you're going to go for a night cache, don't just go get the night cache and then leave. Grab all of the chests in the area if you can. I mean, if one of them is defended by a Templar and you don't want to deal with the Templars, that's understandable. But certainly all of the other chests, most of them are only going to be guarded by things like damned and lepers, maybe a direwolf or a bear or something. But for the most part, they're not really defended by anything crazy. They're just defended by a number of smaller enemies. But yeah, that is my advice for getting halberds. Just, you got to check all the normal chests. You don't have to go on night cache runs to get a halberd, certainly. And actually, if you want to get lots of halberds quickly, I would say don't even bother with going for night caches. Just make as many trips from your base to the tier 3 zone as you possibly can, as quickly as you can, and that's the best way to get a lot of halberds. Obviously, it's all up to RNG, but, and this is just my preferred tier 3 zone. You can also go to the tier 3 zone down here. I just don't like trees. Trees block my view, and obviously, if you watched any of my dungeon runs, guys, I get stuck on stuff a lot. So, anything that blocks my view, like a whole forest full of trees, is something that really is a massive pain for me. So, I just prefer the tier 3 stone zone because there are less trees there. That's literally the only reason why I go there. So yeah, hopefully you found that helpful. Hopefully it has given you some ideas on what to do for your tier 3 runs. And I don't know if there are necessarily going to be any other guides that I will be doing in the near future. But of course, I will continue to do my daily dungeon diving series, where there will be a new episode of me exploring the dungeons every single day. Feel free to check that out if you guys haven't. There are some fun times in there to be had, mostly at my expense. But yeah, until the next video that I do, guys, I will see you guys later. Until then, guys, take care.